Hola, hola mi gente, welcome back to my channel. I'm Vanity B. If you're new here, welcome. If you're back again, welcome back. So today I wanted to create a video on breaking pattern loops. Now, when I'm talking about breaking pattern loops, breaking your old identity to your old story, to your old reality, to the undesirable circumstances that most people keep reliving, and they're wondering why they keep repeating the same patterns. Now, I want to do a separate video on understanding what karma is, because karma and programming your subconscious mind and programming your nervous system has a lot to do with just repeating patterns. So people get this understanding about karma in a sense of you do bad to people and it comes back to you, or you do good to people and it comes back to you, which that plays a part in, metaphysics in a way. However, what some people don't understand is karma is a form of looping. It's a form of repeating patterns over and over. And the only way to really bypass karmic loops is you have to break the pattern of being yourself, breaking the habit of being yourself. Have y'all ever heard Dr. Joe Dispenza talk about things like this, or read his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself? The thing about your old reality and your old identity that keeps looping you is your nervous system, your belief system, who you are to your core, your identity is coded and programmed to fit your old story. Now, if you're in a relationship, or you keep the same relationship, or you keep attracting similar type of relationships, the reason why you keep finding yourself in this loop is one, this might also be another video that I want to talk about, but breaking the karmic loops and stopping the pattern of your old identity has everything to do with you choosing yourself. Being in a toxic relationship, being in addiction, being fat or lazy, being unsuccessful, you're waking up on a day-to-day basis seeing the same story playing out, and you're like, damn, why can't things be different? It has everything to do with you still falling back into that comfort zone. Once your nervous system, your belief system is programmed from a child on up, you're on autopilot. So you're unconsciously repeating the same story because it's on default. However, when you're choosing yourself, you're stepping into self-love. The thing about self-love is it sounds good and appealing when somebody's learning about it or wanting to show themselves love. However, the thing about self-love is it's one of the hardest things to do because it requires a lot of discipline, and it requires a lot of focused attention to do the hard things until it becomes a programmed unconscious habit. Like for somebody who wants to stop smoking, or somebody who wants to pick up the habit of going to the gym, you're gonna have to do that consistently and make a conscious decision that for me to no longer smoke, or me no longer to be lazy and go to the gym, I have to do the hard thing, which is putting the cigarette away, no longer going to the store and buying a cigarette, or no more hitting my alarm to sleep in at night or sleep in the morning, and actually wake up even if I am tired, put on my clothes and go. The first few times it's gonna feel like war because you don't want to do it. However, that desire to fall back into that pattern or that loop has everything to do with how you are regulated and how you're already programmed. Again, our bodies, our nervous system, us in this simulation, us in this reality, we are programmed to our environment. So for you to unprogram yourself, you have to take a step back and look at yourself and say, what are the repeating habits of me dealing with a toxic relationship, or me dealing with, poor money habits, or me dealing with an addiction, or me being lazy? What are the common things that are allowing me to loop back into this. And it has everything to do with comfortability. You have to be uncomfortable to break those pattern loops. And that's where karma comes in. It's not so much like you're reaping what you sow, but what already has been sowed into your programming is going to be your default. So for you to have a new programming, you have to sow something else, which is why when they say when you want to break a habit, you must do something to replace that habit. You can't just stop doing drugs or, being out of a relationship without replacing it with something else, because what your body and your ego and this vessel, this flesh, it's always going to go against the mind. You have to be stronger than the body. Your mind has to be in control. So for you to do that, you have to be conscious, for one, and then two, you have to make the hard decision that no matter what, I'm going to go ahead, instead of me going back to that relationship that just doesn't serve me. I'm tired of that loop. I'm tired of that pattern. I'm tired of feeling this way. But when you get out of that relationship, the time that you may have spent with that person is going to be empty. So naturally, the ego, the body, the flesh is going to want to revert back into those toxic loops. And when absence of these bad habits or these bad loops are present, our ego, our body, our flesh has a way of forgetting why we're choosing to leave that old pattern, because all the mind and the body is going to do at that moment is try to remind you of the good, of what the good times that you and that person had, or how you felt when you were smoking, or how you felt, being lazy and just laying in the bed versus going to the gym. You have to be stronger and fill that time up. So if you're leaving a relationship, what are you going to do with that time? You're going to pour into yourself. You're going to find hobbies. You're going to, make sure that you're putting more time and effort into your looks. You're adding the gym into there if you're not in the gym. Adding the gym, adding hair routines, adding facial routines, adding a hobby such as painting or welding or glass blowing, whatever you want to learn. You need to add more things into your routine. Making time with friends. Another thing is having people who are like-minded around you, who are constantly invoking this new change and this new identity. Because if it's just you against you, it's so easy to fall back into those loops and back into those patterns, because you don't have accountability partners. You don't have people in your circle or in your environment that are pushing you or encouraging you to pursue and step into this new identity. But for you to break the loops, the number one thing I want people to understand is you have to. There's no other way around it. For you to break karmic loops, for you to unprogram yourself, you have to step out of autopilot and you have to choose yourself. And choosing yourself is going to be really hard when you have been choosing the autopilot and the program that has already been given to you. You have to create your own program, one that aligns with what and who you want to be, and choose it every single day. Like Nike's slogan says, just do it. Regardless of how your emotions are feeling at that moment, the body, the number one thing that actually got me really understanding this, it was maybe like 2-3 years ago. It was Andrew Tate, Top G. He talked about how you have to one, be in control of the mind. You can't let fever, you can't let pain, you can't let hunger, you can't let tiredness alter your decision making. Regardless of how the ego, the body, the flesh feels, you still have to choose what you've already put into your mind so that you can proceed forward. Regardless of how you're feeling, that is how you break the programming. You're comfortable where you're at because it's all you've ever known, but internally it's making you miserable. You don't like your story. You don't like this pattern of repeating the old story, but yet you seem like you're stuck, and that's only because you're going off of you're going back into the programming. You're being unconscious and you're repeating those loops over and over. So again, like in previous videos, the number one thing is to take control of those thought patterns. One of the things I do is I have about like 11 different alarms that go off every single day that remind me, what am I thinking? And even if I'm not conscious of what I'm thinking at that moment, I also have each one with like a topic, like whether it's self-love, money, success, or desires, like passion, jobs and stuff. Like all of them are listed with something that I can focus on at that moment versus me thinking about negative, oh, thought patterns. The more that you're doing this, the more you are reprogramming the wiring in your body. You have to reprogram that nervous system. The nervous system is absolutely one of the most important things when you're understanding reality creation. You have to regulate your nervous system to match the identity that you are becoming, so that when you are waking up months, weeks, years later, it's programmed already in you. It's not a fight anymore. But again, this is like going to the gym. Like, you're gonna have to wake up those first couple weeks tired, unmotivated, and still do it until it's like, this isn't that bad. And then you're naturally gonna just start waking up early in the morning because you've been doing it so much. Same thing with breaking an addiction. If you take it, first of all, you do have to take it day by day, but you have to take inventory, journal. Make sure that maybe journal every night of how your day went. Like, what did you do that made you fall back into old patterns, and what times of the day did you conquer those old patterns? Like, today I really wanted to text my ex, but I knew that I didn't want to feel what I was feeling in those previous loop patterns. So instead, I called up one of my friends and we decided to go get lunch, and that desire dwindled away. Instead of me wanting to pick up a cigarette or a blunt, I went ahead and I took a walk outside and I took deep breaths, and it reminded me like my lungs can be used for something else. Instead of me hitting that alarm, I went to the gym, and even though I was tired, I felt so much more accomplished. The number one thing that I realized that invoked confidence in me the most out of anything, and this is probably because I suffer from ADHD, so I suffered a lot with analysis paralysis, wanting to get up and do things, but I felt stuck in my own body. It was when I actually did what I said I was going to do. Whenever you set boundaries for yourself, but you fall off on those boundaries, that does something to our self-confidence and our self-esteem, because it makes us feel like you couldn't even keep that promise to yourself. You said you was going to go to the gym. You said that you were going to work on that project and you didn't even do it. That's where that negative self-talk comes from. However, when you do what's on your to-do list, or when you set those boundaries that you're not going to pick up a cigarette, you're not going to text your ex, you're not going to lay in the bed, you're not going to splurge and spend money on unnecessary things, it breeds this confidence and this will within you that is just like, I am powerful, I am in control of my life, and I said I was going to do this. And the thing about that is, what you're doing in those very moments is building the future you tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. When you're putting your action towards your words, you are breeding confidence, because you're going to see the difference. Little by little, it's called a compound effect. Little by little, you'll see the change. Your thoughts will start aligning with the person that you're becoming. Your body starts aligning with the person you're becoming, because one, getting out of toxic relationships, you reap the benefits of cortisol levels being low, stress levels being low, skin clearing up, money, going up, because you're not focused on chasing somebody else. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't date other people. That's another thing. Don't be afraid to go date people, meet new people. Like, literally go meet new people who have like-minded interests like you. If you're getting out of a relationship, so many people will dwell in that feeling of not wanting to date because they feel like they need to heal. You can meet new people. You can go out there and talk to new people and make friends and just get that connection, because we all need human connection. But if that's going to help you get out of that funk, do that. Get up. Even like people, I know some people, and I'm so glad I'm over this, because I went through breakup and makeup for years, that once I knew that I was done with a certain relationship, I didn't need all that. I didn't need to go through the depression and going in bed and I'm not going to text anybody else, I don't want to date nobody else. Like, I was so over it, because I knew I was so over that loop. I was so over that pattern that meeting new people wasn't going to mess up the relationship with me and somebody else that's new. But if you're in those phases where you're just now trying to get out of that relationship, or you're just trying to combat those depression things, the least that you could do is still get out of the bed. Fight the body that wants to just dwell in the depression. Fight it. Get out, get your hair done, do your face and makeup, shower. First of all, let's start there, because I heard some people, they don't be showering. Shower, get yourself together, and walk outside. Go to a coffee shop, go to the park, go to the library, go anywhere but where you sit and dwell at in that depression. Because when you look good, you feel good. It just automatically has a way of rising those vibrations and bringing your frequency up. Then as you're stepping out, you're just getting another look at your environment that's not what you're used to. Get out, do stuff that's different. You have to break the old programming and the old loops by doing things that you've never done before. If you're tired of, smoking or doing drugs, whatever, drinking, replace it with something else. Like, most of the time you got to replace the people that are around you, because 9 times out of 10 people who are in those patterns, they're around other people who do the same exact patterns. Meet new people, because when you're around somebody who is comfortable in those bad habits, it allows you to be comfortable in those habits. However, when you're around other people who, they set those boundaries where I kind of don't want to do that, and when you're around them, it kind of influences you to not go for it and not do the same things that your old group of friends would have allowed you to do. It allows you to be in new environments, and what you don't realize is happening in the psyche, in your nervous system, is a rewiring. It's like you're having little circuits in your brain rewiring, and it's kind of uncomfortable. It's always going to be uncomfortable at first. However, the more that you do it, the more natural your body starts to align with it, and then again, it becomes the natural programming. When you are trying to break the old story, when you're trying to get out those loops, you have to understand it's you versus you, and you have to choose you. It's the you that is stagnant in this flesh and wants to be comfortable, versus the you that wants better for yourself, but it's really hard to be conscious, aware, and then choose the discipline, choose the thing that doesn't feel favorable at that moment, and doing that every single day until you feel much better and you're like, wait, this isn't as bad. You have to choose yourself. That's why they say you have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired before change happens. And the truth of the matter is, sometimes you really don't have to wait till you're sick and tired to make the change happen. If you're just looking at your life or your environment, you're just like, you know what, this isn't very favorable to me, or this doesn't align with who I want to be in the future, or my highest self, and I kind of want to change that now. Do it. Don't wait till the tragedy. Don't wait till you're full-blown alcoholic and now you have to go to rehab, or you're in a toxic relationship where that person is laying their hands on you or having children on you, or unfavorable things. If that person already has crossed some boundaries, have enough self-respect and enough self-love to be like, I'm not choosing that anymore, and even though this is painful, I'm going to choose myself and I'm going to walk away. You're the only person you're going to have until the day you die. If you're not choosing you, then you're choosing others. You're choosing the programming. You're choosing to be something that you're, at the end of your life, you're going to regret it. Nobody has ever regretted choosing themselves. If you're constantly always spending money that you don't have, and that was me. I used to spend money all the time. I had a shopping habit. I had a spending habit. However, I knew that was detrimental to my financial gain, to my finances for my future self. You have to allow yourself to do the uncomfortable. One of the things I started to do was leave. I would still want to go to Marshalls and Target and stuff, but I would leave my wallet at home. I would leave my credit card and my debit card at home and just walk around. And one thing I noticed, because I would always go off the programming that I already had. Like if I saw something, I would buy it because it made me feel good. It would release dopamine. It was like my serotonin, whatever chemical that was. It was like a rush when you buy stuff. However, when I left my card at home, it was so hard. I felt uncomfortable because I wanted certain things, and it was just like, we're just window shopping. We're just looking. However, when I got home and I realized I didn't need that mug. I didn't need those earrings. Earrings and jewelry is really bad for me. I love buying jewelry, but I have so many earrings in my jewelry box that I don't even wear. I will wear them. Like I'm starting to wear my stuff more now. However, you don't need the certain stuff, especially if you're going to set goals. Same thing with people, like if you're trying to change your eating habits. You want the burger, you want the fries. However, you know that the chicken cutlets that are grilled with the broccoli is going to reap the benefits with your body. Once you finish eating, at first eating it and smelling the burgers in the restaurant is going to be hard, but you're going to feel good about yourself when you go home. Like, okay, I didn't put all those calories, like whatever I worked out on at the gym and all the calories I burnt, it's still going to be beneficial because I ate according to my diet. You have to break the loop. You have to break the patterns so that you can bypass that karma and you can walk into a new identity. Because the only way that you can do that is one, being uncomfortable, being disciplined, and choosing yourself. And to choose yourself, to be uncomfortable and be disciplined, that all falls in line with self-love. You have to love yourself. If you do not love yourself, if you do not choose yourself, people, places, things, you will allow them to completely deteriorate your life because you're on that autopilot, and then you're going to be the one who's going to sit back and lay back and think about, like, damn, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not with who I want to be with. I'm not happy in this relationship. I'm not happy with my relationship with food or health. I'm not happy with my bad habits. You have to choose yourself first. That's the only way that you're going to break those patterns and those loops. But one, you have to be conscious of it. You cannot allow the body, the program, this ego to be in control. You have to choose the mind. You have to be conscious and say, no, I control the body. I control my movement, because it's so easy to fall into those comfortable patterns. Now, I do want to make more videos on understanding like karmic loops, understanding it in depth, and understanding how we're programmed from child up. We are all learning to unlearn bad habits or old patterns and habits from childhood, but we're in a space now in the world where a lot more people are starting to they're starting to understand therapy is one, it's okay. Therapy will help you figure out things about yourself, but then there's some deeper work that needs to be done where you just do that within yourself. You do that in silence. You do the seeking. You sit there and you take accountability for your actions, and you take accountability for your own life and where you're at, because you're internally not happy. A therapist can help you with routines, exercises, and ways of thinking and ways of coping. However, you have to do the work on a day-to-day basis to implement that and program it within you. And a lot of it has to do with that deep work. But if you're wanting to stop certain loops, if you're wanting to stop the pattern, and you're wanting to, you want that old story to die, you need to birth a new one within your nervous system, within your core identity. And that starts with choosing yourself. That starts with loving yourself and being uncomfortable for a period of time. Because I promise you, while you're healing, while you're creating new habits, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it gets easier. It always gets easier. And if you are too focused on how long it's going to take from the moment you start to when it doesn't hurt anymore, to when you don't have those urges anymore, to when you are going to have that body, that health, that skin, whatever it is, you're missing the bigger picture. It's all about the journey. You're here now, not because you saw the end result of you being, in that toxic relationship, in addiction, in, fatness or unhealth, poor health. You're not here because you saw the end result. You're in there because of the journey that it took to get there. It's just you with your daily routines, you with your daily habits, you with your choices. So you have to look at the end result. Like, it doesn't even matter about the end result. It matters with my day-to-day. It matters throughout the journey. The journey is the ultimate goal because it never stops. You're going to be doing it until the day that you die. Choose yourself. Be disciplined. Do the hard stuff, because that is the highest form of self-love. But I'm going to end the video here, and I hope that you guys got some type of useful information. If you did, make sure that you like, you subscribe, you share. And I'll be back with more videos later on this week. So, peace out.